A river cuts through a rock not because of its power, but because of its persistence. James Watkins. The true power is not in the groomer. The power lies in the persistence. Are you being groomed? We're diving deep today. Hello, hello, hello. You are listening to the Manifest on Purpose show. I am your host, Kimbaley. It is a time for awareness, it's a time for evolution, and it's time for elevation. If you're down with all of that stuff, then you're in the right place because those are exactly my intentions. I want you to be a better person tomorrow than you are today. Thank you so much for joining, sharing your time and energy with me today. Thank you for all of those you've invited, and thank you for subscribing here and on the website at Kimbaley, KIMBALEY.com. The God in me loves the God in you. Speaking of subscribing on the website, make sure you do. Just recently, I sent out a meditation for the Venus-Jupiter conjunction. This is a very auspicious time in the cosmos, and it'll be happening all of this month until June the 3rd. This guided meditation will help you visualize throughout that time so that you can receive all of the benefits this Venus-Jupiter conjunction has to offer you. If you have not subscribed, subscribe now to take advantage of this special offer. Today, I'm going to talk about grooming and the role it plays in subconscious development. Please stick around for that. But before we do, let's hear our Astro-Numerology forecast for today, courtesy of Astro-Numerologist LLoyd Strayhorn and the Star 8 mobile numerology app. It is Wednesday, May the 8th. The sun is in Taurus. It's a new moon in Taurus. It's a 4 universal month, a 6 universal week, and a 3 universal day. On this new moon day, there's an abundant opportunity to grow financially and creatively. In fact, you can have the best of both worlds by bringing these two elements together to make sure your life, affairs, and environment is in a better place. To the negative, however, if you are superficial or lackadaisical in your bearings this 24-hour cycle, it would be a waste of your precious time, money, and energy. So Pisces, Sagittarius, and those born on the 3rd, 12th, 21st, and the 30th of the month have no excuse not to get theirs. You make sure you go out and get yours. Download the Star 8 mobile numerology app. This forecast was courtesy of Astro-Numerologist LLoyd Strayhorn. You can get that app on a Star 8 ASTAR, the number 8.com. You can also download it on Google Play, the App Store, or go to Linktree/numbers and you. Today's conversation, I'm going to be talking all about grooming. And in order for you to know that you're groomed or even prevent being groomed, you need to know the deeper nature of yourself, what you really are, and what your purpose for life is. You can get that by getting your numerology report. You can get that on Kimbaley.com, KIMBALEY. And while you're there, you may have some questions about the people that are close with you in your life. Make sure you get your compatibility report and your yearly forecast so that you'll know what to expect for the remainder of this year and the beginning of next year. Also, don't forget your business report. This will tell you your characteristics and traits of your business, how your business should be run. You will learn your key days, dates, and months. You will also learn those months and times that are oppositional for you. And you can get your yearly forecast for your business too, so you'll know what you should be doing and when. Perhaps you've missed the May 2024 numerology forecast that was either here or on YouTube. If you want to see the video of that, you can find that link right in the description box below. Now, let's get back to the show. I have to keep it real with you. I thought the very same thing that everybody else did when I heard the gruesome story of a lady's life that I'm about to share with you today. I thought, how could you let that happen to you? Let me tell you, I first heard of this lady and her story from a minister I knew. At that time, I did not know if this lady really existed or not. I thought that maybe it was just a fable. Maybe this person was just trying to teach a lesson. It was not until I heard the exact same story from this lady's adult daughter that made me believe that it was true. This lady happened to be in her 40s. She was a woman of strong Christian values. She desired more than anything to be married in her early 30s. She had a group of women and mentors grooming her to be a wife when the time was right. They taught her the duties, roles, and responsibilities of a wife, how to care for a husband, how to raise a family, and most importantly, to submit and obey to her husband no matter what. Now, this woman really wanted to be married because she felt as if time was ticking and she needed a husband. She soaked up all of this information like a sponge and anticipated the day that Prince Charming would ride in on his beautiful white horse. One day after the church service ended, a tall, handsome man stepped up to her and asked her name. She replied, and he went on to say he was new to the church and was hoping to meet some of the members. They sparked a casual conversation, or what seemed to be a casual conversation, because before long, he was pursuing this lady. You know, she was already looking for a man anyway. It wasn't long before they were walking down the aisles of holy matrimony, where she promised to do everything her mentors taught her to do. Taking all of that in, the new husband was proud of his new wife. One thing you should know is that the relationship came together pretty quickly. It wasn't long after the wedded bliss that things began to change. In addition to the wife to-do list that the lady's mentors gave her at church for her husband had his very own special request. They were subtle at first. And guess what? Because this woman loved this man and wanted him so much, she had no problem doing exactly what he said. What she didn't know is the more she did, the more he wanted. And it seemed no matter what she did, it was never good enough for her husband. That's when the yelling began. He started yelling at her and screaming at her, telling her what he wanted her to do. And all she could do was just listen because, according to what her mentors told her, she was to be submissive and obey. In time, the children started to arrive, and so did the physical abuse. He began physically abusing her, And then he began physically abusing the children as well. You may be already questioning, why hasn't this woman left yet? That's the same question I asked, and the same question a lot of other people asked. But the story gets deeper. The woman decided that she was going to continue to be a good wife no matter what happened. And then one day, something did happen. Her husband had to be admitted to the hospital. She found out that he had just had a stroke. Even worse, she found out that he would be bound to a wheelchair for the rest of his life. You would think that this woman would get some relief at this point. She brought this man home and she cared for him, nursed him back to health. And when he got better and able to use his wheelchair around the house, he began to abuse the woman and the children physically while he was still in the wheelchair. Now, I know you're really wanting to know at this point what is going on here. How can this woman still allow this man to abuse her while he is bound to a wheelchair and she's walking around with nothing wrong with her? This should make you think. Grooming is the practice of preparing or training someone for a particular purpose or activity. Now, the word grooming was originated in the 1980s. Grooming was actually a term used by FBI agents that were investigating child molestation charges. What they found is some of the predators during that time was acting in positions or roles that was close to those children in order to build trust, build a bond with those children, in order to train these children to do the things that they wanted them to do. Now, a lot of times when you hear the word grooming, they're talking about sexual crimes. But grooming has different forms that you should know about. There's also romantic and financial grooming, and there's grooming for criminal or terrorism purposes. An example of that would be the case of the DC sniper. Also, there is another thing. Grooming does not have to be specifically for children. Adults can be groomed too. And this is what we were seeing in this woman. She was being groomed by first her mentors that taught her how she should treat her husband, and she was also being groomed by the husband. The same question that I asked about this lady many years ago, and the same question that many other people asked about her too, is one question that I really, really do not like to hear people ask. In the case of domestic violence, there's a lot of times where people will ask, why do they stay? Why do they go through this? Or all they have to do is this and all they have to do is that. That, my friend, is one of those cases that's often easier said than done. Probably one of the reasons why I despise that question is I am a survivor and I know exactly what it takes to get to that point. It's a grooming that takes place, and your subconscious mind plays a big role in that. Your subconscious mind plays the hugest role in that. Trust and believe me, when Prince Charming first went home with his wife, I'm sure he did not act like he was an abuser. He probably was so sweet to her and did all of the things that he thought a husband should do. A river cuts through a rock, not because of his power, But because of his persistence, small habits building up over time created a subconscious impression on this lady. Let's just face it. If this man had not showed her that he loved her from the beginning, this woman probably would have ran for the hills. But no, he groomed her, which means that over time he built a bond with her to make her get even deeper emotionally with him. She began to be vulnerable with him. Things started to change. And instead of seeing the changes, she kept seeing the good in him. This is the part that get people the most. It then became normal to her because that's all she had been seeing so far. She became so used to this negative treatment that after a while, once things began to mount up, she wasn't even aware of them. Once he gained access to the mind, gaining access to the body was easy to get. Now, I know that you're thinking that this conversation is mainly about domestic violence. And although I use domestic violence in this story, it is to serve a twofold purpose. But domestic violence is not the only case in which grooming is used. Are you being groomed? The truth of the matter is, at some point in our life, all of us have been groomed for something. Some people, it may be a college degree. For other people, it may be a spiritual or religious walk of life. For some people, it could be poverty. Then, when you throw in today's technology into it, grooming becomes even more difficult. A lot of what you see in media is also grooming you. But I'm going to tell you what grooming really is. Grooming is a fancy name for subconscious programming. I even consider habits to be subconscious programming. Think about a habit. It could be something like drinking. At first, it starts out small, and then it's a little more over time until it gets to the point where it's so far gone that you don't seem to have control over it because it's creating a program within you. That's what groomers do. They program you to do what they want you to do. Whether that could be changing your educational decisions, whether that can be changing your diet, changing your beliefs. There's a lot of people out there now conditioned or groomed to be someone that they're really not. The reason why this is so important is because of the fact that you will become what you are groomed, conditioned, or programmed to be. I send love to that lady. Last time I heard of her, she was still in the same place, going through the same thing in her life. All because she had been groomed. All because she was living a pattern that she did not or don't even know that she is living. The National Library of Medicine talks about this urban myth or analogy that you may have heard before. It says, urban myth has it that if you put a frog in a pot of boiling water, it will instantly leap out. But if you put it in a pot filled with pleasantly tepid water and gradually heat it up, the frog will remain in the water until it boils to death. Allegedly, the frog is not able to detect the gradual increase in temperature until it is too late. My call to action to you today is take a look around at your life. Are you able to be completely who you want to be without influence? Are you able to do exactly what you want to do without influence? Are the choices you make solely your choices? It doesn't even have to be a domestic violence situation. It can be some of your leaders, some of the mentors in your life. It can be social media. It can be some of these religious or spiritual organizations. It could be through your education or even your family and some of your closest friends. If your choices, your decisions, and who you are is influenced by anyone or anything else other than yourself, you are being groomed, conditioned, or programmed. But this is not the time to feel sorry for yourself. This is the time to take action. And in taking action, I want you to remember habits are impossible to break. You can't break a habit. But what you can do is you can replace a bad habit with one that is much better. Grooming doesn't happen overnight, it happens over time. And just like it takes time to groom a person or to be conditioned or to be programmed, it takes time to change. So don't be so hard on yourself. Start by replacing those habits. Start by getting away from what you're going through. If you are in a situation where you are physically, emotionally, or verbally abused, please reach out for help. Tell some of the people that you love, the ones that are close to you in your life. And most of the time in these situations, you have already been isolated from those people. So reach out to the proper authorities to make sure that you get help and getting out of that situation. And the best thing to do at that point is to stay away from that environment. It's easier to change when you're not in the same environment that created the problem. The truth is, we've all been groomed at some point in our life for something. The question is, look around your life. Are there things that you're still doing now that you were groomed to do many years ago? And are those things bringing you satisfaction, peace, and growth? Or are those things that you need to get rid of? Just like that frog in the pot of boiling water, what it all boils down to is the ultimate decision is yours. Are you satisfied with everything you were conditioned for? Or are you on a journey to condition yourself for something better? I love you to life. This is how you manifest on purpose.